What's up everyone, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John and welcome to my new series, Common Ground. The point of this series is going to be taking 5 different songs with the same word or a different form of said word and seeing what these songs might have in common. Now, I thought of this one night and I was thinking of the title Lonely because of the song Perfectly Lonely, which is one of the songs that we'll examine today. It's by John Mayer, and then that caused me to think of the song Lonely Weekend by Kacey Musgraves, and I thought, what is the connection? What is the bridge between these two worlds? And then I started getting those gears spinning a little bit more, and I thought, this could be an exciting new series. I always love it when I get inspired to talk about or do something new when it comes to talking about music on my channel. So with this series, I will be getting you guys involved because this week's word is lonely, but in the future, you can help decide what we'll talk about. So let me know in the comments section down below, what's a word that you've seen used a lot, or maybe something more unique, a very specific word, not and, I, the, or anything like that. We're talking lonely, fire, island, whatever else. I don't know why I said fire island together. Normally, we're not gonna have the long rambling intro to explain things at the start of each episode, but just know that the plan is for this to be recurring. This week's word is lonely, so we could be talking lonely in the title or lonelier, loneliest. Let's get started. The Merriam-Webster dictionary defines lonely as being without company, cut off from others, or not frequented by human beings. It's a feeling of bleakness or desolation. At its core, lonely is a very sad word, but there are different ways that you can flip it. So the 5 songs that I've chosen today have different meanings, different context for the word being used. So we'll break down all of the 5 songs and then come back at the end and see if there's any common ground. Lonely Weekend by the Grammy Award-winning country artist Kacey Musgraves, the Album of the Year recipient for Golden Hour. This track, Lonely Weekend, is about finding happiness and trying to be content in the mundane and the ordinary. She discusses her relationship and marriage here, and obviously a lot of people that follow her probably know that her husband is in the music industry as well, and they have a lot of times where their schedule doesn't line up. They find themselves missing each other, and this song in particular sees Kacey sat at home, really just reflecting and having the fear of missing out as she gets on social media perhaps, or just turns on something, or even thinks about her husband and sees that she's here by herself having this lonely weekend, and she's trying to be okay with that despite the fact that she knows maybe she could be doing something with family or friends. I really do love this song. It's a charming down-to-earth moment that's grounded with a smile that's still ever so slightly jealous and envious of the people who are out doing things and are out having fun while she simply enjoys a weekend alone by herself. The most loneliest day of my life. The next song that we get to analyze is Lonely Day by the metal band System of a Down. You probably know them for having 2 distinct vocalists, Serj Tankian and Darren Malakian primarily, and this is Darren's track where he writes and sings, and it's an urgent performance, Serj doing some of the backing vocals on the chorus, and it's a track that takes something so middle of the road, so flatlined, a lonely day, a boring, mundane routine that you've slipped into and that you feel you can't get out of, and they add a certain edge to it. Now, the easiest way to interpret this track is, of course, the fact that somebody's just having a sad, lonely day where maybe you're just laying in bed, you're scrubbing through your computer or your phone, you don't know what to do with yourself. Perhaps it's about that, or perhaps there's some sort of underlying protest. But for the sake of this video, we're gonna assume that it's a more shallow song from System of a Down that just reflects on a lonely day. Gaining fame from being the leader of Matchbox 20, Rob Thomas split off into a solo career in the early 2000s and did have some success with his first 2 solo efforts. From that first album, you probably recall the track Lonely No More, which we're discussing today. Rob Thomas shows concern and fear over a relationship falling apart, almost cutting the legs out from under himself as he doubts that things will work out, even though it seems like he wants them to. Lonely is used in an urgent sense on this one, with Rob kind of name-checking all of the dreams and desires that he has for their relationship. He wants things to keep moving forward, and he wants it to last, even though he doesn't think it will, and he's been hurt in the past, as the title holds true. Lonely no more is what he's crying out. I don't want to feel this way, but he also kind of feels like even though he wants to give somebody everything, he also feels that he's not worthy. We're going slightly more obscure for my fourth pick here. This is a deep cut by the band Foals. This came out on their 2015 album What Went Down. The name of the song is Lonely Hunter, and lonely as a word, fun fact, is never actually used in the song despite it being in the title. Instead, the word is described the entire time as this itching, sinking feeling, something that can't be cured because the narrator himself is intentionally being distant and missing out on important life events. The descriptions here are so damn visceral and rich. You can truly feel what is seeping off of this song. It's a beautiful pain that haunts, and it's something that you feel alongside the persuasive pianos, the swell of the guitars, and that lush mix of instrumentation. To be quite honest, it had been a while since I had revisited this album and rediscovered this song, but doing so for this video did give me a deeper understanding, and I do think that out of the 5 that we're talking about today, this is the most lyrically rewarding. No one but me, and that's all I need. I'm perfectly lonely. To round out our collection of 5 tracks, we're discussing the song that gave me the inspiration for this series, and that was a late night visit I paid to Perfectly Lonely. No, not because I was sad, just because I love the song. This is from the singer-songwriter's 2009 album Battle Studies. I remember being extremely excited for this to come out when it did, and when you're down and out in the dating world, I feel that Perfectly Lonely is probably your go-to anthem. It expressed a happiness for being lonely, which intentionally contradicts the meaning of the word at its core, saying it's okay to be by yourself sometimes. In fact, that might be exactly what you need to clear your head before jumping headfirst into a new relationship. So what do all these songs have in common since they share the same word? Is there anything at all? What's the common ground? Each one says something different about loneliness entirely, as you could probably already tell, but to me, the common ground this time is the motivating factor that pushed the artist to write about the subject in the first place. My 2 cents worth is that all of the songs that we've heard today, they're connected ever so slightly by fear, even if it's presented with confidence. See, you, the listener, might hear a stark contrast between John Mayer and Foals' different versions of the word lonely, the different ways that it's used. And even if they do kind of sound like polar opposites musically, there is a motivation of fear at the core of it all that's always creeping up on you, whether you like to admit it or not. What do you think is the common ground between these lonely songs that we discussed today? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and help support this new series by dropping a like on the video, and consider subscribing to the channel if you happen to be new, and if you would like to go a step further, then help support the channel on Patreon. It helps support new ideas like this, fresh material and content for you, and I do hope that you enjoyed. If you want to be a part of a future episode of Common Ground, then comment down below a specific word, maybe something that's not super common, but also not too abstract that I won't be able to find anything. Feel free to drop a couple examples along with it, and I'll credit you if I end up using the word. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching and supporting the new show. A couple of recent videos here. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you soon for more on ARTV.